Hello, clever people, and welcome to my part 1 of the James Bond Marathon reviews. So coming up here in November, what was supposed to be April and is now become November, we have No Time to Die. This is the 25th James Bond movie, and I am very excited for it. I enjoyed Skyfall quite a lot. I even enjoyed Spectre. I think that the Bond series has been on a general good trajectory with Daniel Craig, so I'm looking forward to this one. And kind of in honor of that, I wanted to review all of the 24 Bond movies that have come before it. However, if I reviewed each one in its individual video, it would be very timely. There would be a lot of videos to go over. So instead, I am going to review 3 a month until we go up until the release. So right now we're in March, so I'm going to review the first 3 in the series, and then every month afterwards, I'm going to review 3 other James Bond movies until we get through all of them. We're going to start off this episode with Dr. No. So this is the first James Bond movie, and it's a pretty simple plot, as all of these are for the most part. It follows James Bond 007, this huge, pretty awesome spy espionage guy, as he is trying to figure out what's going on with Dr. No, who is this technologically advanced guy who is trying to attack the US space program. So Dr. No is the first Bond movie, obviously, and it kind of was what started everything, and I kind of understand. After watching Dr. No, you can understand why this movie series has been going on for so long and why the appeal has stayed pretty strong. Dr. No isn't a great movie. I will start off with that. But it's really enjoyable. There's so much to like about it. And I think really it was the distinct style that it kind of initiated that really set off the whole series of the 24 movies that followed it. It's just so fun and so lighthearted and so entertaining and kind of bubbly. I mean, that might not be the best word to describe it, but the movie just starts off with, James Bond, and the way that they introduce the character, he's so intriguing and he's so fun to watch, and the action scene in the movies can be entertaining, and, it's definitely misogynistic for the time. It's a very strong reflection of the time, and, that's not great whenever you can have a movie with misogynistic messages, and that can be pretty outdated. But beyond that, it's just such a fun kind of kick-ass time, and it really did kind of start off the series. It's not very memorable is what I'll say, and I think it was subsequent Bond movies, one coming out every 2 years at the beginning, that kind of kept the series going. But I can understand in the 60s when more mature themes weren't really allowed in movies, how this one, starting off with everything, that it really did entice audiences and that audiences remembered it, even though today we've seen so many movies like it that it doesn't really remain memorable. I will give Dr. No a 7 out of 10. The second Bond movie is From Russia with Love, and this one follows the story of Bond as he is investigating this private underground organization called Spectre and the evil things that they are attempting to do. So From Russia with Love was definitely a step up from Dr. No, not only in its intensity, but also kind of with the fun of the movie. The first half of this movie feels very much like Dr. No. It's a lot of misogynistic material, but it's still pretty fun, it's lighthearted, it's entertaining. The Bond character is super enthralling and fun to watch, but it's really towards the later half of the movie, particularly a scene on a train, that the intensity is just piked up super high, and it kind of went to show that you can have these fun, lighthearted spy movies, but still bring intensity to it that can leave you on the edge of your seat. And in the particular train scene that I'm talking about, where he kind of is confronting and fighting the final villain, I felt stakes, and that's really hard for a Bond movie to do, because obviously James Bond is not going to die at the end of a Bond movie, but the stakes were still so high, and I was still gripping the edges of my seat, and the reason for that was that it was built up pretty well. The plot advanced, really, it was just like they took everything from Dr. No and put it up one notch for From Russia with Love, and because of that, it ended up being a pretty strong Bond film. I will give From Russia with Love a 7.5 out of 10. Now we're on to Goldfinger, and this one follows the story of Bond when he is struggling with Goldfinger, who is this mysterious figure that has killed somebody by basically painting them over with gold, and it's a very mysterious and strange thing that happened, so he goes to investigate it. Goldfinger was the peak of early Bond, and a lot of people will say that. This is usually regarded as one of the top 3 or top 5 Bond movies, and it's very understandable why. It really just feels like with Dr. No, they were getting to know it. With From Russia with Love, they were refining it, and with Goldfinger, they were all the way in. And because of that, it is so much fun. Even for being a movie from the 60s, you still feel like this movie is so cool. And that's something that the first 2 struggled with. Even though they were very cool and revolutionary at the time, they aren't really memorable because you have seen things like them before. It's not that way with Goldfinger. I still remember a lot of the feelings I had when watching Goldfinger because it is just so intense, it is so fun, the action is really entertaining, and the mystery that they build up around Goldfinger, it's for once, it's like a Bond villain that has just as much personality and just as much care into his character as was put with James Bond. And when you have the villain and the hero being so interesting and intriguing, it makes for a really good Bond movie. Overall, Goldfinger is definitely the best Bond movie of the 3 that I have watched so far, and I will give Goldfinger an 8.25 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for Goldfinger. So, what are your thoughts on these 3 Bond movies, and how would you rank them? Comment in the comment section below, and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Good